Are we here? Yes, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone. This is Mental Health Monday. I am Dr. Alicia. Hello, everybody. And I just want to welcome everybody. Mental Health Monday. Today's episode, it really is deeply personal to me. I have a strong connection with Los Angeles. It's so heartbreaking to see what's happening there. Very heartfelt. And I think this topic is pretty timely. It is the process, the spiritual process of losing it all. I think together we can examine how profound a loss can impact us emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. In particular, I want to talk about spirituality and how it can serve as a path toward healing and definitely toward resilience. Oh my God, these past couple of days, I've just been really overwhelmed with a lot of feelings. Even though I'm here in the Midwest, I feel so connected to Los Angeles because a lot of my spiritual journey has been tied to Los Angeles. Anybody who knows me, you talk to me within the first 10 minutes, and I'm talking to you about how profound a lot of spiritual experiences I've had meditating in Los Angeles with a beautiful, wonderful, talented community there. And so many families have been without a home, treasured possessions, and even the sense of safety for the people there have been definitely in crisis. And watching this widespread destruction kind of unfolding has been really heartbreaking for me. And I think it's brought into focus how fragile things are in life, how quickly things that we hold dear can just be taken away. And I really do, as I reflect, I kind of feel like this crisis really reminds me of the recent hurricane on the West Coast, East Coast. We had a hurricane on the East Coast just months ago. Families were displaced with all of the flooding. And I felt that, and I think there's a collective consciousness here when people suffer. How can I look at this and just like, and not think anything about it,
Mm-hmm.
I think events like this, it really, I don't know, not only creates an individual pain that's shared, but also recognition of how connected we all are in our suffering and our desire for healing. So today, I'm so honored to have with me the incredibly talented, she's an actress and a singer, Cynda Williams. She's here. And I follow you on Instagram, Cynda, and I love your content, and you talk about meditation, and you're very spiritual, and a lot of the things I've heard you say. So I'm so happy to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This topic is very close to my heart. It's very personal for me. This specific event that's happening in Los Angeles, and any time people are suffering and have such a massive loss, because I've had loss myself, so I know what goes on, but fortunately I've also been able to work through that. But the loss of so many things, property, memorabilia, things close to your heart, your business, and then also your people, your friends, and so it's important that we discuss this, I think, because people are in need of direction, that now. Some, although I will say that I have noticed with humanity, we have a tendency to come together like no other time. when there's a disaster, all of a sudden humanity becomes humanity or humane again, and it's really interesting how sometimes I feel like life happens this way just to push us together. And that's a difficult way. You mean I have to lose to gain a family of humanity? I have to lose. Unfortunately, that's how it seems to be, especially lately, because we've had so many different disasters. My brother, he works for the Small Business Association, and his job is he's one of the top people. He's a lawyer. He helps people with small businesses rebuild after natural disaster. So, I mean, just in the last several years, he works constantly because there's so much going on just in this country and beyond is insane. It's like there's floods, fires, hurricanes, et cetera, earthquakes everywhere. It's like Mother Earth is having a dance, and she's like, y'all need to get it together, you know, and but dealing with loss and figuring out the steps to do it, so important. So important.
I love everything that you're saying, and there's a really cool guy that I listen to. His name is Richard Hoagland, and he usually says things like, "It's events like this that make the good get better and the bad gets worse." I'm witnessing a demarcation with the responses of where there are some people who are falling on the side of pointing fingers and blaming, and there's some people who are doing the beautiful work of using this as a tool to galvanize. And I have to tell you, there is nothing I love more than people who have that sort of energy where it's like there's nothing terrible that can really happen to me. I'm going to take this as a learning experience. And that to me is how people in Hollywood approach obstacles. There is a magical quality of people who are successful probably because they're able to use anything that comes their way as a way to augment themselves. So if there's any group of people that is definitely going to rebound from this with shining brightly, definitely are the individuals in Los Angeles. It is the feeling I get when I'm out there, when I talk to people, interact with people. For the most part, I've yet to have like really terrible, nasty people that I come in contact with there. They're always upbeat, always positive, always have a way of galvanizing. And I will tell you, I've been so impressed with how a lot of celebrities have been responding to this by, even though they lost their homes. And of course, they have means, but they are still losing their homes and donating. They're giving all their clothes away. They're making comments on social media that is something we all need to pay attention to and learn from, because they're saying, you know what? I have my family. It's the memories that have been lost. Like the way they have been able to look at that. Y'all, everybody, study this. Because if you want to know the right way to respond to adversity, pay attention to what a lot of people are doing. What would you say to that?
Well, like I read an article today about Whoopi Goldberg. There are people that have thoughts about her one way or the other. She lost her home and then she donated $10 million.
Come on.
$10 million to other people after losing her $15 million house, and she didn't donate it to herself. I'm sure she's got her own, but I mean, that's just one example of people that have stood up and stood together, because you're right. People in entertainment, especially on the artist side of things, the best of us often have come from very difficult backgrounds. They might find themselves in a position of monetary gains, but we struggle oftentimes with life, period. And that's why we're good at what we do. Yeah. Because we can create all these different characters because we have lived such a roller coaster of a life. And so
I don't even think you could be an actress unless you've had some hardship, because you got to have something to connect the role to. Like, that's how you get into it so much. It's part of the process. Wouldn't you say
you can't be a good actor? Let's be clear. There's a lot of actors that aren't very good, and you could tell they're not a lot of life.
They ain't lived life enough.
yeah. But yeah, so this is something that you must learn. How to get beyond the struggles. I mean, if not for acting and singing, that saved my life. With some of the childhood trauma, I totally shut down, and that's no one knew what was going on with me, but that's how my uncle brought me out. He's like, he could tell something was wrong. He didn't know what was wrong. So he just started giving me music to sing at 4 years old, and so that's how I overcome and how I overcame and continue to. I had, a situation where I lost everything, literally. I honestly, right now, I don't hardly have anything. I don't have anything because at multiple times in my life, I have had a new birth, eventually death, and a rebirth. Yes. Over and over and over again. So I, at this point in my life, have gotten used to it. You never get used to losing the ones you love. You never get used to losing things that are meaningful to you, to your history, but you do learn how to not be attached. And depending on how you believe, everybody has their own belief system. The way I believe, it's a constant cycle. It's a constant cycle in real life. My life is what life is. It is birth, it is life, it is death, it is rebirth, on and on and on and on. And sometimes I believe source, God, universe says, okay, it's time to start over. You're too comfortable here. Let's go. You need to evolve more. You need more change. And so I'm going to take you from here to there. And sometimes I think that happens collectively with us. Yes. Sometimes you have to get everything taken away in order to build better. And that's what I've found.
That is so beautiful. First of all, hey, everybody in the chat. How you doing? Do y'all know Cynda Williams? Do y'all know who she is? Let us know if you know who she is, because she's talking about this music and some really painful things that happened to you, but music and acting helped you to cultivate some of this. And you gotta love Mo Better Blues. Y'all remember singing that beautiful song from Mo Better Blues? And y'all in the chat, how y'all doing? And wait, tell us, introduce yourselves in the chat. Tell us where you're coming from. We got Jen. Do you know Jen? What's up? Jen is saying it really showed up for all the guardian angels living in Los Angeles over the past week. Yes. That's an interesting name. Guardian angels living up. And she also writes in here that truly is lovely when we all can come together in times of crisis to help family, friends, and neighbors. I have witnessed all of that, and it really is beautiful. Yes, y'all have to know Spike Lee's movie, Mo Better Blues. This is Cynda Williams from there. That was your big breakout. And of course, you've done a whole bunch of other things. And I am digging this rebirth process. I am digging this process, and I really do think that all of us need to actually seek this rebirth process to restart again, because that is only how you grow. So many people get stuck and they end up coming to me because I'm a therapist. Hey, everybody, I'm a licensed therapist, a social worker. I work with couples. I also work with individuals. And I am saying is that when they get stuck in this rebirth process, that is part of my job, really. I am really feel like a spiritual healer on some sense, because where they are and when people come to me, I try to evolve them through it and say, you have everything in you to overcome this. Yes, there's been some adversity, and yes, there's been pain, because that is a normal part of life, but it's trying to have adversity and hardship and unexpected things that happen to your life forces you to seek something greater than yourselves so that you can learn, making meaning of all of the experiences that you agreed to when you were born in this body, right? And I think these questions of discovery, the pain, the rebuild, discovers a deeper connection with our own spirituality. And, these are things that just so resonates with me. I have had to make myself over so many times. I love that song, Don't Make Me Over. Don't Make Me Over. I love that. But I hear that, and sometimes I do have to make myself over, not somebody else. And
Mhm.
I just want to know how I like this rebirth process. Is there anything else that you want to talk about in terms of how you define spirituality, particularly in the context more of this coping and this grief that people are going through?
Yeah, well, I think that life has to be balanced, and we all seek the light. We all seek the happy and the joyful and the, all of that. And boy, oh boy, do I. But the shadow side of that is a part of the life, because that's when we grow. That's when recently I did a post where I was really oddly for the first time thinking about the phase of the day, how the beginning of the day starts at midnight. It doesn't start when the sun rises. So it's completely pitch black, right? So think of a seed that's been planted under the soil. In order for it to grow, first it must go through the dark. First, it's got to push through all of this to get to the light. And then it lives, and then it thrives, and then it starts to get older, and then it goes away, and then another seed comes. And so it's this whole cycle. And I think our lives are, I say, I've had so many little deaths.
Yes.
I've had so many little deaths. They didn't feel little at all. But every single time, depending on my mindset,
Yes.
if I really died, meaning let go of all of this and came into the now, then I would always be better. I've always gotten better every time I've had a little death, because I evolve, because I learn through that experience. It's when we don't learn from it that we can stay in the darkness. And I had this experience where I had all my things in storage in Los Angeles, and moved back. And long story short, lost everything except for the stuff we had with us that we brought in a car. And in that was all my archives. I was a family archivist. All my pictures, letters, diaries, everything from my entire life was gone. I didn't care about any of the furniture. I didn't care about the books. I didn't care about a lot of expensive things. I didn't care about any of that. It was that trunk full of my archives that I cared about. And I'm going to tell you, I grieved it. I grieved it for years. And I was angry with my ex-husband about it, because I had to blame somebody for it. And I blamed him, and I grieved it, and I grieved it. But I'm telling you, it's just like one time it just hit me. Oh, this is a lesson about attachments. This is that. This is that. Oh, and once it rang true in my mind, I was like, that's what I was supposed. It's taken me a long time. I mean, good, maybe 8 years of anger and grief about that loss. And once I recognized what it was, and I could release it, not let it go. Let it go is too sudden and harsh, and but to release it, slowly let it go that way. All of a sudden I started getting things from people, pictures from people from my past that I hadn't talked to. And it was being replaced, but it wasn't replaced until I released it.
Until you release
how life is.
It is so fascinating. Like, even for myself, every time I say that, sometimes there's a spark that comes in me where I'll have a goal that I want, or there's something that I want to do, and immediately something gets eliminated to make way for me to do something new. And, it is sad, but it's almost like a clearing of the way so that this can sprout out in me. It's almost like I'll have all these things. And in the moment, I'll feel sad about it because I'm like, this is not what I didn't mean to let go of something first before something new happens. But in hindsight, I always say, God, in the moment, I thought it was the worst day of my life. But I look back on it, I'm like, how could I have ever started my business if I had been working 40, 50 hours a week at a job that wasn't really paying off? So I was able to look at it into perspective and say, you know what, I can do this job and start my own business and do all of these things that I want to do that sparked in me. It's almost like through meditation. I'm going to ask you about meditation next. That'll be my next question. But it was through my process, my spiritual journey of meditating, of going inside and thinking about my purpose as a healer. That is my purpose as a healer. I do know that. I am a healer. And wanting that, everything started coming aligned and things started falling off that was interrupting my path of being the healer that I am. And I don't know, it's just a beautiful thing. So the meditation helps to keep me centered because every day I have to incorporate it into my life. Actually, really, when I think about it, every day, every second of my life is a meditation. I'm meditating and I'm starting to really incorporate mindful practices. I have 3 children. You must be mindful when you have children. I have a whole list of clients that I work with every day. I have to be very mindful. I have, a family. I have all of these responsibilities, but I want to enjoy myself as I'm doing my purpose as a healer, making sure that I'm navigating that. But the part that I feel like it's so interesting is that when I came into this, I'm fully into it now. I know exactly who and what I am right at this moment, welcoming any experience that can continue to teach me about myself. But I am realizing that to get that light, I did have to go to this dark side. Out of light has to come from darkness. I mean, think about coal. Coal is dark, but when you squeeze it, what are you going to get? A nice shiny diamond. That's the process that I feel like I have been involved in. And I don't talk about it much publicly. I just do it. It's just something I do. But when I saw you on Instagram and you kept talking about meditations and you do your meditation on Instagram, y'all follow Cynda on Instagram and follow her because you're doing beautiful work in the internet world. So tell me about how you incorporate meditation into your life and how it's related to your spiritual development.
Well, I had anxiety. I had depression diagnosed. And, from starting with trauma as early as the very beginning of my life. So for me, it was a process. I started learning about meditation when I was a child because I did yoga when I was a child. I was fortunate to one of my uncles had a girlfriend that was a yoga instructor. So that's when I started learning about it. And I just had a natural affinity for it. And of course, I was in the church. So prayer was what was taught there. And I kind of naturally figured out the differences, because I'm really in prayer almost all day, all the time. I'm constantly talking to somebody. For the longest time, my ego told me it was me. But now I understand it's beyond me. I'm communicating. I had some really crazy experiences we'll talk about someday that showed me reality. And it's not what I thought it was. So I know now that I'm talking to someone all the time. But the meditation piece is so necessary because if you don't stop talking, you can't hear. You can't learn sometimes, Meditation is the listening side. It's the being still side. It's the silent side. It's the waiting for inspiration time, So you say that prayer and then you meditate, and then all of a sudden the answers to the prayers are given, and it might not be in that moment of meditation, It might be in the middle of the night when you wake up. It might be, there's so many ways that it can come to you, but the practice of meditation changed my life. I really didn't start practicing for real until maybe 2018. And I don't even know why I did it. I think, I was starting to break out. I found out I had some autoimmune thing, and stress would cause me to break out in the most horrible hives. And they said, we don't quite know what it is physically, but we do know that stress is a trigger. And I was going through some major life changes and turmoil, talking about dark times, right? Mm-hmm. And so I said, I have to do something, because I don't like having these big blotches all over my body and scratching all the time. And I'd been in therapy and all of that kind of stuff. So I started with guided meditation. That's where I started, because to be honest, in 2014, I had an experience, and I'll just tell this quickly. I was in a hospital and I couldn't sleep, and I hadn't really slept for real for about a month and a half. And it put me in a hospital along with a whole bunch of other things. And I take it or leave it. This is what happened. I heard a voice, and the voice said to me, you need to meditate. You need to meditate. And I was like, I don't know how. And it said, listen to the air conditioner. Listen to the air conditioner. And whenever your thoughts go away, come back to the air conditioner and listen to the air conditioner. So I was like, okay. And it worked. And I could get quiet. And so that was really the beginning, but I truly, truly committed in about 2018. And it started with guided meditation. And, I went to the apps, Calm was the first one. I went to Headspace, I went to all these different guided meditations. And then I found tons on YouTube. And now that I've practiced that enough, I said, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm going to find at the very least 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day to meditate. And so I always set my clock early in the morning, and it's the very first thing I do. And the last thing I do. And it changed everything for me, that I can control that whenever I feel that anxiety, I'm so practiced that I can center, like you said, I can center, I can be quiet, I can be still, I can breathe deeply, do my breathing exercises. And it's like, and now I'm so practiced. It literally takes me seconds to find it,
Yeah, me too. And I don't know, I hate to jump in, but I absolutely find it. And I memorize, like, even when I'm in Los Angeles and I'm really setting aside, because it's so hard to do with my busy life, but to do it for a long period of time, I tell myself, I have got to remember this experience, and I practice it. And there are certain techniques that I do where I can go right into it. And every time I do a YouTube video, that's the process I go through. I try to get into a meditative state right before I go on. Right before I go on here, I try to say, guide my words, all of my say, and what people need to hear right now. Though that's sort of part of my process. And I don't know. I don't care about the results. I'm really interested in the means and doing what I think that's really great. And so I think that's what's so beautiful about meditation. Hey, y'all meditate. Y'all, your audience members. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. When you want to know when I go live, I do have, today is Mental Health Monday. We are talking about the spiritual process of losing it all in connection to the Los Angeles fires, not just the Los Angeles fires, but all sorts of tragedy of people losing everything and finding some strength in that. It may be too soon to be talking about it, but perhaps this will eventually have a great impact on some of the people who are trying to figure out what's happening with being afraid. I mean, it's rightfully so. We need to be afraid and take heed. And when people say it's time to evacuate, making sure that you go and evacuate. But text the word love to 87948 to know when I talk about these issues on Mondays. And then Sunday night, girl, I'm talking about relationships because I'm a therapist, therapist, and I talk about relationship. And we're reading this book about the 5 keys to mindful loving. And it's about how to be an adult in relationships. And if anything like a tragedy, that'll help you grow up and understand what's important in life. And so today we are, I'm here with Cynda Williams. Y'all know Cynda. Y'all, everybody seen, I'm taking your black card. If you ain't seen More Better Blues, your black card is coming. You ain't really black. You gotta see this movie. It was so beautiful to watch. And she's a homegirl. She's from Indiana. I'm from Gary. Hello, Gary, Indiana. And we've been talking about spiritual practices like prayer, mindfulness, meditation. And I think it can act as emotional anchors when there's times of turmoil. And it's definitely a wonderful time to incorporate it in our life. Hey, babe. And it's so important. So I want you, very distracting, boys. That's my husband here, distracting me. See you later. Okay. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about some of the people who are definitely connected to the Los Angeles fires. Some of the people who are losing their homes, facing the reality of losing everything. And you've been through some of these things yourself. You've talked about. I was just curious about what would you say to people in Los Angeles who are experiencing this grief of loss during such a large-scale disaster, and you've had some personal experiences to this. To some people, this is brand new. How would you talk to them? I have some thoughts on it, but I'm curious about what your thoughts are about what would you say and how would you help people make meaning of this?
Well, I actually was put in a position where I did have to. We were speaking before we went online, but one of my best friends who owned 5 acres of land, and he's not an actor, he's not rich, but he built a life. He built a prop house with antique props. He redid a bunch of RVs, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't even know that it went to Altadena. I had no idea. I just reached out to all my LA people and just left a message and said, I'm just checking on you. And I did a mass text rather to all my friends. And the ones I didn't hear back from, I was concerned. And then the next day I heard from him, and he said, hi, sweetie, we lost everything, but not our lives, And this was a house I spent many a day. It took my daughter to and hung out with, and it was just, he and his partner, were my best friends in Los Angeles, and still are. And so I was thinking while I was absorbing this, because it's odd. I'm like in the midst right now is a major transition happening. I have a friend that just passed away suddenly that no one expected last week. I have a friend that's in the midst of transitioning. I have a very close person to me who's been diagnosed with a disease that she's terrified is going to completely take her life. And there's all these things all at the same time, last 2 weeks. And so I was like, okay, I do like you, before I do anything, before I do my shows, before I act, sing, whatever. And I've always done this, and I don't know where it came from. I'm always quiet, and I always say, use me.
Yes.
Use me. I've been saying that my whole life. I've been doing this stuff my whole life. And that, is my higher spirit, I guess, because I always say that. And oftentimes when I am communicating with people, I don't remember what's said. I just don't. I don't remember what's said because I know it's not me. And so I don't know who it is. Don't ask me that. But it's not me. And so, but in this circumstance, it was text. And so I'm
Ah,
just like, feed me. Please feed me.
yes.
So I just said, while I am very sad that your home and business is gone, I'm supremely happy that
Mhm,
you, your partner, and your animals are here and alive. And I
mhm.
absolutely know that this just means it's time for you to build better than you already had. That's all it means. It means there's more for you to find, more for you to do. And I absolutely know you're going to do it. And anything that I can do to help you do it, I will. That's all I had, you
Yeah.
know.
And I think these words of encouragement that I'm seeing, you wonderful illustration of it. I'm seeing poured out on a I mean, think about it. We live in a society that's extremely toxic, where I mean, where everybody in Los Angeles, I think, are very positive. To me,
Mhm.
they know how to turn an adversarial situation into something really great. But it's a double-edged sword. There's this idea of so much emphasis on appearance. How many people are on Ozempic because they don't like the body that they're in? All this plastic surgery. I mean, that's another flip side of what's there, and it can come across as if people are really shallow. But I am not seeing that. I don't know. Maybe it's my algorithm that's coming
That's
up.
what it is. It is because honestly, I have a few people in my life that did not give me that side of it.
Yeah.
I had someone who was saying, that evil empire finally came down. And I'm thinking, I'm
No.
like, you mean the nurse and the garbage collector and the post office guy that lived around there, and I just think that this person was very emotional,
Hmm.
and her go-to is to blame somebody. You know what I mean? And then I had someone else who literally said to me, someone in authority that I'm working with, who said to me, "Oh, it's the Dems putting the immigrants up to it because of what happened." And I was like, that one took meditation in the moment,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
the words coming to my tongue were not kind, because I was telling this person, because I haven't said this, my daughter's out there. My only
Yeah.
child is in Los Angeles and can actually see the fires from her home. And just one pickup of the wind, she could lose everything. And she doesn't have a car or drive. So I'm not trying to feed into fear. I'm feeding into seeing her healthy and whole. I'm staying in faith. Um, but that is how you're talking to me when I'm confiding in you about the fact that my only person in the world, the closest person to me in the world, is in the
Yes.
middle of all of this. It's so crazy because when COVID hit, where was she? In Manhattan, in the hot
Oh
zone.
no. In the middle of
Yes,
everything. Oh
she
my
was in
God.
the middle there by herself in a dorm with nobody. All the rest of school left, but she wouldn't leave. We found out later because she had it.
Oh,
She had it horribly bad by herself and did not tell us until after the fact. And now she's in the middle of this.
she didn't want you
So
to worry about
she
it.
didn't want us to worry. I'm like, girl, please. Yeah,
Oh
if
my
anything
God.
happened, but there's that loss again. It's like, whew, I
And
have to deal
I
with
mean,
that.
I want to show some compassion to the people who can be bitter. And hopefully
Mhm.
it's a state, like even Kubler-Ross has stages
Mhm.
where when you're in the midst of a loss or a crisis, you do have a stage called anger. And
Mhm.
I think that we need to recognize that it's a normal process of grief is to anger, but
Mhm.
you have to work your way through that, because it's so easy to want to point the finger at somebody, to want to blame somebody, to want to take your anger out on a scapegoat. And so we're scapegoating an immigrant, or scapegoating the mayor, or all of these people we want to blame, like this person's lit the fire and did these things. And so I just want to ask everybody that look at the anger and see it as a natural process, but to try to work on moving past that, because at the end, what Kubler-Ross talks about is acceptance. It's just accepting what's happened. Like, no one could ever predict or ever be prepared for a tragedy to this size. I mean, right now, there are people who are really suffering, and this is not the time to put blame and to get angry and to let that take over you. This is not the time for that. Later, for some of this other stuff about sorting it out and teasing it out in the aftermath of it. But right now, when you're in the middle of a crisis, now is the time to really try to focus attention on, first of all, safety, immediate safety, but also focus attention on trying to help people go through something that's really awful and help process it. It would be so great. I don't know. I was going to talk to my husband about what else can we do to help people there get through what they're going through. This is the time for all of us to come together and help people find peace, help people begin this process of transformation and rebuilding of some of the things that they have lost, and rebuilding that beautiful area and that beautiful land and making it better, making it better and safer for everyone. So, oh my God, we're already at the top of the hour. I want to have you back because I love these conversations about spirituality. There's not many people in my life that I talk to about this, and I really don't talk about it openly. It's really just, I don't know how people feel, but the spiritual process and development, it's a very personal process. Like, a lot of people don't really share. I don't really share. It's not a conversation people have every single day, and you don't really have to. People know, people can see your light. We have this light in us, and people can tell light, can recognize each other. And I also recognize some of the darkness, and I hope that people will, at least send lots of positive energy intentions in the way of, I say we do a rain dance over there. Rain going.
Right.
To open up. And
that's what the last thing, I know we're to the end, and that's what I was gonna say right quick, is just, it's so difficult to really look at things in the natural as they're happening and focus there. But what I'm working on myself doing, especially considering it's personal for me, is instead of seeing what I've seen on TV, I'm seeing and visualizing with as much detail, not just visualizing, but seeing, tasting, touching, feeling the breeze, the beautiful beaches, the clean air, the beautiful, happy people, safe and secure. And that is how I pray. That's how I pray. I don't say, Lord, do this, Jesus, do that, blah, blah, blah. I say, thank you for clearing the fires away. Thank you for the rebirth of the city. Thank you for cleansing it. Thank you. You see what I'm saying? So instead of us focusing on the of it, instead see it how we want to see it, and use all the senses and find the passion about that wherever they're suffering. And that is a much more effective way to shift things than to put our focus on fear and anger and sadness. It's good to notice it, recognize it, know it's there, appreciate it. But for us, those that are not in it, if we want to help change it more than anything else, the way we see it in our minds will change it for the better.
Forever grateful. Oh my gosh. I just love this. Gratefulness is definitely something that I focus on quite a bit, being grateful and visualizing how you want things to be, the outcome to be. Don't worry about the means to it. Visualize the outcome, how you want things to be, and it will naturally just evolve in that way. It's so great how fast. Let me tell. But before we end, I just want to tell you, it is so, what you said is so powerful that sometimes I really have to check myself in some of the things that I am, some of the things that I think, my thoughts and stuff. One time, I just did this practice where I listed like 6 goals. I just threw some 6 goals on a piece of paper, right? And I recorded my voice saying them, and I was like, I want to see if this works. And I put my headphones in, and I just listened to it all day. I'm a long distance runner, by the way, so I would go on runs, and I wouldn't pay attention to what I was saying. I would just have it in my head, but I would be talking to my friends, but it would just be playing in the background to some like meditation music or whatever. And I just did this, and do you know, lickety split, all 6 goals happened immediately, and I didn't even have to work for it. It just came and fell into my lap. And it scared the shit out of me. I was like, what?
That's how powerful we are.
That's how powerful we are. And like, honestly, I haven't done it since then, because I was like, the next time I do this, I have really got to think about it some more. Like, it's like, but it just happened so quickly. Like, I never had
the power of the word, that spelling, it spells. You create. That's what we were created to do, is to create. And unfortunately, we do it unconsciously. So we create a lot of harshness for ourselves, a lot of difficulties for ourselves, because we put so much emphasis and focus on what we don't want instead of what we do. And so doing what you did was a phenomenal way to test it. It's amazing. It's brilliant how you can, if you become conscious of your thoughts, be conscious of your words. And one of my favorite things, if y'all listen to Abraham, what Abraham says that helped me is sometimes, you're thinking, like saying, I'm wealthy. You're like, BS, I ain't wealthy, right? You're looking at your bank statement, and you're like, so instead, be general. Everything's working out for me. Everything is working out for me, because everything is working out for you. How do you know? Because you're still here, you're alive, you got through everything in the past. So if you can go there and then get up to be more specific about it, it is amazing how your life changes. I am a witness. Things change, and I have a lifetime of lack mentality to overcome, and I see the changes, but I had to become conscious of it. And it's the same in our prayers. It's the same in our thoughts for other people. That's why, I don't tell people if I'm going through illness, because I don't want them to see me that way. I want them to see me healthy. I want them to see me thriving. And so, because if I put their focus on some illness, then that's what they're going to be thinking, because they may not be as conscious as I am. And that's going to keep me there or put me worse. So I don't go seeking validation for my sickness. No, see me healthy.
That's right. I am. And I imagine, I also picture people telling me how healthy I am.
Right.
My friends saying, girl, you're so healthy. Saying, I imagine people telling me the things that I want to become. Like, what is that experience going to be like? When I'm actually there, I create the whole scene. The whole scene is in there. And I'm just telling you, I don't know the mechanism of it. It's probably the subconscious mind. Thank you. Artery Westby. Hey, that's my guy. Probably my Artery. How you doing? Yeah. So yes, that's definitely a subconscious thing that is subconscious. So you have to pay attention to your thoughts and your automatic thoughts, because it does come from your subconscious. And advertisers know that they can get you to do it. Advertisers know. They don't care. Like, you're watching a commercial, they know you're getting up and going to the bathroom, getting something to eat. They don't care. They just want their commercial in the background playing because that's how they have your subconscious mind. So it's happening to you anyway. You might as well take control of it.
And that's why I'm so conscious about what I listen to. You know, when my daughter was such a grouch, you know, when she was a kid. I'm like, why is she so mean? And then one day I was like, I wonder what would happen if I turned off the news in the morning. Because I used to turn it on first thing. I was a news junkie. I would turn it on first thing in the morning. And I was like, well, just as a curiosity, I want to see what happens if I put positive programming on, affirmations and, you know, beautiful music with certain hertz, you know, that's supposed to elevate your, you know, your heart chakra, your chakra systems or whatever. Let me try that. And I'm telling you, within a week, she was like, hey, Mom, how you doing? Instead of, you know what I'm saying? And I felt better. It started my day better. So that's why I turn off I don't watch television. I watch certain programming, but I'm very specific about it, you know, because I don't want certain outside voices to penetrate my voice. I have done a good job of getting rid of some of the negative voices that were implanted in me and came to terms with understanding what that was and letting that go, releasing that.
They lied to you.
Right.
They lied to you. Those negative voices, those negative thoughts. It's not even you. Not only did they lie to you, but it's not even Cynda.
Exactly. And once I came to understand that, oh golly, that's a whole other story. It was so awesome. One day I'll tell you that too. How I really came to understand. I was like, oh, they're lying. Why am I so upset about a lie? Why am I so upset about a lie? It really like reintroduced me to myself, you know. So
look at 528 hertz, and that's my birthday is 528. So I know all about 528 hertz, the miracle tone. I have like a little thing that you blow, and it blows 528, and I just connected to it because my birthday's May 28. So, oh my God, I feel like I talked to you forever.
Definitely.
You bringing up chakras, you bringing up all this stuff. We got to talk about chakras. Y'all want to hear about chakras? If you do, let me know. We got to talk about the chakra system because that is definitely what you need to pay attention to so that you're not so affected by things around you. Anyway, oh my goodness. We all got to send some positive 528 miracle tone, singing bowls, all of that stuff. We got to send it out to the West. Well, West is this way in my house. You know? So we got to send it out to the West, send it out through the digital airwaves to really bring some rain, some precipitation there. And oh my God, Cynda Williams. Everybody say hello to Cynda Williams.
Thank you guys.
On Instagram. What's your Instagram?
It's at Cynda Will. WILL. Cynda Will.
At Cynda Will. Oh wait. Follow me on Instagram, please.
Yeah. I'll put it in the chat.
Follow me on Instagram. You get updates on also Mental Health Monday on Instagram. You'll see what the upcoming shows we're going to be on Instagram. Of course, as always, text love to 87948. And if you need any help at all, individual work, couples work, I work with families, you can contact me at coachingwithdralicia.com. Go there, fill out my intake form, and I will reach back out to you. I definitely will. We have talked about the spiritual process of losing it all, the Los Angeles fires. We wish everybody the best. I know that everybody who comes out of this will definitely be renewed. This is, if not anything, a definitely rebirth process. I have no doubt in my mind that if anybody can recover from any sort of adversity, it is all of the beautiful people in Los Angeles. I just have positive experiences there personally. And from what I'm getting and from what I'm seeing from a lot of celebrities, such as yourself, Cynda, you're part of it too. Come on. Hello.
Yeah.
That's your community. So thank you for coming on here today. And we'll be back. We got to talk about chakras. We got to talk about all this other stuff.
There is so much to talk about, and this is the time
Shoot.
people are opening up and waking up. And so, you know, and it doesn't take anything away from your own beliefs. It just adds to it and strengthens it. So I look forward to coming back whenever you want me. Just let me know.
And you know what, by the way, this is kind of our science. A lot of the science is really started in African spirituality and science. It's just that a lot of ways we've been told that it's dirty and ugly, and we've been feeding these messages, but that's us. That's who we are. And it is time for us to return to our original selves. But anyway, peace and blessings, everybody. Now I'm talking about peace and blessings. I never say that word. Let me just say what I say. Peace and blessings. Now I'm trying to talk about peace and blessings all of a sudden. I don't even talk like that. I just talk like how I am right now. Anyway, goodbye, everybody. I see you, Dr. Vibe. How you doing? Dr. Vibe is awesome. My awesome friend here. I see y'all in there. I see you, Tara. How you doing? Yes, Tara. Wait, we got to say what African natural lifestyle. Yes. Kemet. Awesome. We talking about
all of this stuff. I'm working on projects dealing with all of that. Our real history. It's so phenomenal. The truth that is coming out now. It's coming out, y'all. You ready?
Can't stop it. You can't stop it. It's the return. You can't stop it. Okay. So bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you all.